Good afternoon and welcome all to this, the last Ore Digger Lunch Bunch of 2020. I'm Bill Zisch, class of 1979 mining, and I am currently the president of the Alumni Board. We really appreciate your interest and attendance today. A silver lining of COVID is that virtual platform has enhanced our ability to reach a larger and broader group for monthly chats sponsored by the Alumni Association. These meetings have been a gathering place for ore diggers for more than 30 years, which is really a tribute and an example of ore diggers' support for mines. This month's attendance is by far our largest to date. I'm sure that's because President Johnson is our speaker today. So before we get to the main event, a few housekeeping items. First, all participants will be on mute. If you want to ask a question, click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. We will be recording this meeting, and you can view it again or direct others to view it. And their previous Lunch Bunch meetings are also out there for you to view. So with that, I will hand the program over to Brian Winkelbauer, President and CEO of the Mines Foundation. Brian.
Hey, Bill, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So glad you were able to join us this afternoon. Want to thank Bill and the Mines Alumni Board of Directors for all they do. We're really excited about our strengthened collaborative partnership and look forward to more activities like this in the future. Also want to acknowledge Mr. Andrew Flynn, who is our new Director of Alumni Engagement. Andy has degrees from 1986 and 1998, and he recently joined the team. And we're really excited as he's been a part of the Mines Alumni Board for a long period of time. My history with the Lunch Bunch goes back about 9 years. My first Lunch Bunch was at the Buffalo Rose, and I still recall the stale smell of beer. We don't have that now, but we're, as Bill said, able to reach more of you. So we're really excited about these opportunities to bring more people together. I want to thank you all for staying engaged and continuing to support mines in a lot of different ways. We're so pleased and grateful for the outpouring of support from the entire mines community and especially alumni. This pandemic has been challenging and for everyone, and has impacted a lot of people, and in particular our students. And so the students have, many of them have had to struggle this semester with a sudden lack of funding or food insecurity issues. And so you have really risen to the occasion. And so want to thank you all for those of you who have supported thus far, either the Student Emergency Fund and our newest endeavor, which is food for Blasters Basket. Blasters Basket is a food share on campus for students in the mines community. And so during this season of ore giving, encourage you to, if you're interested, give to Blasters Basket to help those in need, food needs. And certainly we continue to raise money for the Student Emergency Fund, which has been used to its fullest extent last spring and this fall. So we appreciate your involvement and support of that. Well, we're really excited to have President Paul Johnson with us. He is obviously very busy right now getting prepared for commencement. This whole semester has been about trying to continue the great mines experience to the degree possible, the unique student experience in a way that is accommodating for all the various changes in educational delivery. And commencement is going to be special, even with the restrictions. And I know he's been very busy filming and doing all different kinds of things for commencement. So we're really glad that he could join us. So Paul, thank you for taking the time and welcome.
Well, Brian, thank you. And thanks for the invitation. And boy, I was just looking over the list of participants and I wish we were all together. There's some folks there I haven't seen in a while. And I hope, first of all, I hope all of you are doing well and staying healthy and like me, looking forward to 2021. So some of you sent in questions beforehand and I kind of looked through the list and I know there's a lot of questions kind of about like, how did things go this semester and what are our plans for next semester? And maybe a little bit about what's going on. So I'll make a few opening remarks and then I think Brian's going to work down the list of some of the questions. And then I think we can maybe even handle some more while we're going there. So first of all, to orient you to the academic calendar, yesterday was the last day of classes. Tomorrow is the first day of finals. And so today is review day and next Friday is graduation. So I'm pretty much, other than this, I'm kind of working on graduation things today. We have set up a stage that looks just like graduation in the field house. And Jefferson County has allowed us to have students walk with their families present to see them do that. So students have signed up for time slots to walk across the stage and we will be in there in person congratulating all of them as they cross the stage next week. And we'll be filming all their walks and putting on all that together and producing that as a graduation video that will air for the first time next Friday morning. I think it's 9 o'clock for the undergraduates and maybe 11 o'clock for the graduate ceremony. So keep an eye out for that. We've got some new features that we've added to this one, and we're hoping this is the last semi-virtual ceremony we ever do again. But we'll see how all that goes. Anyway, we started off this semester with really one primary goal, and that was to have a safe return to campus with students living on campus, going to classes, as well as providing flexible learning options for, if students didn't feel comfortable coming back to school and being in the classroom, or periodically students who might have had to quarantine or isolate as a result of testing positive for the virus. But that was our goal, was to get things, have a safe return and make it to this point of the campus altogether. Obviously, many universities tried that, and obviously a number of them kind of abandoned that goal after a couple weeks. But I'm really proud to say that we accomplished that. We opened campus, we kept it open. We have students still living on campus today. It's taken a lot of work to do that. There was a lot of preparation that took place this summer to make sure the classrooms were safe, make sure we were ready for students living on campus. We had to create our own testing facility so students could test for free here on campus for the presence of the virus. And it wasn't easy, and there were a lot of hard work by a lot of folks. I will say, any faculty member who taught an in-person class, and I was doing this, so I had the same experience, probably had to work 3 times as hard as they ever did, because they had to teach to an in-person audience at the same time they were teaching to a remote audience, at the same time they were teaching to students who were temporarily quarantined or isolated. And so, that's been really, really tough. And on top of that, all the residence life staff who've had to manage the student situation, as well as our COVID response team on campus. A lot of people worked really, really long hours. But again, I think we delivered on what we intended to, that every student could progress in their degree program, and they could take classes in whatever mode they felt comfortable doing this semester. So I think that was that was great, and we're going to figure out some way, I think, to celebrate that. And of course, a lot of people, alumni helped out sewing masks for for students before the semester started. Many of you have supported students, as Brian said. It's been really tough financially for some students and their families. Dealing with all of that. I should say, key to all this was the students' behavior. We established the Orediger Promise at the beginning of the semester. We made it, we asked all students to mask up, socially distance, try to do all the things they could do to prevent the transmission of virus in the community. And they really did step up, and we wouldn't be where we are today without students. And I think all of it just continues to reinforce how special our community is, and how truly special our students are. A lot of things couldn't go quite as normal. We couldn't do an M climb, for example, but Blue Key came up with another option, which is building an M on campus, which is right there behind me. They created a special sort of M climb walk of sorts around the campus, where students learned all about Mines history and traditions and things like that. And I can tell you, Blue Key is incredibly proud of that particular M. We offered as many classes in person as we could, given classroom constraints. We made a big emphasis on hands-on stuff. And so students continue to work on, real hands-on engineering projects. I'll just sort of point out this blue VW bus that's behind me in the background. That's a 1979 VW bus. It actually was a senior design project. They took that bus and they converted to electric power, and they just got it going. And I will be going over to visit it on my walk back to the field house after we're done here today. But the students are really, really, very, very proud of their projects and capstone work and everything else they've done. A lot of you want to know what our plan is for the spring. We're sticking with our academic calendar. We'll start school back up again second week of January. We are still going to have a spring break, unlike most schools across the country. We're still shooting for E-days. And based on what we've learned this semester and our students' behavior and everybody's effort, I think we can pull those off. We're actually going to offer a higher percentage of in-person classes in the spring than we did this fall. We're optimizing as much as we can the classroom space. So 70% of all lecture courses will have a face-to-face component, and just about 100% of all labs and hands-on project activities will. So we're doing that. We're getting sports up and going again. So those of you who've kind of missed seeing our Orediggers competing, this fall we only had golf and cross country going. The other sports were sort of pushed to the spring. Our cross country team won the conference championship. There was no NCAA championship this fall, but our men's team was ranked nationally #1 at the end of the season, and our women's team #3. So pretty awesome there. Basketball season has just started. Both of our teams have played a couple games. They're both undefeated. When you're done with this Zoom meeting, I would encourage you to go straight to the Mines Athletics website, find the link to the RMAC network, and watch the men's basketball game, which will start at 1. I think the women are playing today. They might be playing about 4. So take a look. The men, both teams are amazing. They've had very, very strong performances their first 2 games. The men are moved up in rankings this week. They're now, I believe, #8 in the country. So it's I don't know about the rest of you, but just watching our kids play just brings a smile to my face and makes me think the world's going to be okay again as we're going forward into next year. Dan, I saw your question that came in about the disappointment that you didn't get to see them play CU on Tuesday night. CU was going to play us, and I actually think they backed out because they watched how good we played our first 2 games, and they thought it's not going to look real good if we lose to Mines. So we're going to go play some other team that beat them, I think. So anyway, to do that. I'll say, you know, in however many weeks we've got here, 3 more weeks, it's going to be 2021. 2021 is now 3 years between that date and our sesquicentennial. And so, of course, we've been moving forward with all of our Minds at 150 strategic plans. And, you know, I'll just sort of mention a few of them, and Brian may mention some more. We launched the campaign for Minds at 150 this fall. I think it's a fantastic launch. Last year was our best fundraising year ever. You're going to see a lot of progress this next year on our innovation ecosystem. We have completed the McNeil Hall classrooms, which are for all of our first year design classes and our capstone courses. They're on the front of our new parking garage. We're breaking ground in January. We're currently sort of clearing the lot right now for the new Labriola Innovation Complex, which will be, I think it's about 30,000 square feet of makerspace. It's our doubling down on hands-on commitment and hands-on learning here at Minds. So it's going to be amazing what students are going to be able to do in that facility. And then we're having final discussions on the Beck Venture Center, which is the sort of third pillar in the innovation ecosystem. And we hope to break ground on that later in 21. So that's going on. Professional preparation is another key point of the Minds at 150 plan. We want, you know, obviously Minds students are better technically prepared than the graduates of any other university, but we want them to also be best professionally prepared of any students. And so we've got a lot of things starting up with that. Some of you may have read about the Gru Cox Scholars Program, which was initiated by the largest gift ever to Minds this past year. And the Gru Cox have established the Scholars Program that's focused on leadership. And so that group of students is getting leadership program throughout their whole 4 years here at Minds. It's a really exciting new program. We also are launching the Vallejo Irvine VIP program, which is entirely focused again on professional development programming. Established a gift from Fran Vallejo and Scott Irvine, both alums of Minds, and it's, you know, we're just so excited to see that get started. We're also launching some new academic programs. Another key component of Minds at 150 is having sort of a business engineering program of sorts here at Minds, where, you know, students can focus their quantitative skills on financial engineering, you know, supply chain, you name it. It's actually going to be pretty interesting. We have gotten through the process where the faculty have approved the design of that degree. We need to get approval from the trustees in the state. But next year, you should see the Business Engineering and Management Sciences degree launched at Minds. We also have a Quantitative Biosciences degree in the program, again, using quantitative skills in sort of biological applications. And then across all the degrees, we're trying to make sure they all have a very, very strong data analytics foundation to them, which is really important to all of our, you know, people come recruit for our students, as well as sort of more programming experience for our students. So again, lots of things going on. I'll probably wrap up here and let Brian manage some questions, but I'll just say, you know, please be part of all this. There's lots of opportunities for alums to be involved in all of this. Be happy to talk to each of you and find the thing that fits you best. But it is a really exciting time, 3 years before our 150th anniversary, and just lots of great things happening on campus. So thanks so much for all your support, and yeah, please be engaged. With that, Brian, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. Terrific update. Just some information for all of you. Paul mentioned the campaign, of course, that we launched in October, and in a totally unique Minds way, did it virtually. And And you can find out about the campaign and opportunities to participate in a number of ways on the weareminds.edu website. So check that out. And then the President's Strategic Plan, Minds at 150. A lot of really good information on the minds.edu website. It's the President's page. So an overview of the strategic plan, and a lot of the objectives are listed there, very transparent. And so if you would like to learn more, check that out. Good stuff there. Paul, maybe just trying to coalesce some of the questions that have come in. People asked about the financial situation of the university, and I think I've heard that Minds was maybe the only university in the state of Colorado where enrollment went up. Most universities saw a decline in enrollment, so I think that speaks to really how desirable the university is. And while the state struggles with support for higher education, certainly, and the university had to make some cuts to get through this time, Minds is pretty well poised for the future.
Yeah, I think yeah, thanks for all of you who've sort of asked those questions, and Brian for giving that kind of overview of things. Yeah, I think if you certainly read any of the local press or national press, what you're going to hear is that universities across the country are having a really hard time. And it's in part because most public universities have seen a cut in their state support. State of Colorado cut its support by about $500 million for higher education. Some of that was backfilled with one-time stimulus funds from the federal government. We're hoping for restoration of some of that funding going into 2021. But you've got that as a starting point for many schools. And then what many schools saw is a decline in enrollment. They saw much smaller freshman classes. They saw students and families who decided, it's not really worth it to go to school this year. And Minds is sort of the exception to all that. Our freshman class was a little bit smaller than normal, but that was by design because we needed to sort of manage our first year housing and everything. But we saw an increase in our graduate programs, an increase in retention of students. And as a result, in total, we actually have more students this fall than we had last fall, which is very, very unusual, but I think very reflective of the fact that we decided to open in person and that we decided to offer classes in person, as opposed to just sort of opening housing and saying you're all going to take remote classes in that mode. So I think the commitment to the Minds education in the way that we could deliver it with the constraints that we have to deal with. And I think also all the steps that we took to make the campus safe for people made our students and their families comfortable to come back. And so that helped us out. So we have done some trimming, obviously, but we haven't had to take the extreme measures that most other schools have had to take. And so we've got our fingers crossed for a strong enrollment in the spring semester, and then hopefully something that looks a little bit more normal in the fall.
Thank you, Paul. And a comment came in, and I thought I'd use this to tee up, if you would, to make some remarks on how great the students have been. You mentioned how they adapted to a changing environment, and then Minds doing what it could to accommodate all those different educational delivery modalities. And I have several friends whose kids are at Minds right now, and all are saying the same thing as this commenter, that and I feel the same way. We should be proud of Minds, and I'm proud of my colleagues and the work that they've done to pull together a fantastic experience considering the circumstances this fall. Paul, you mentioned the Orediger Promise, and so maybe if you could comment a little bit more about kind of the resiliency of the students and the leadership that they took, not only to confront the challenges of the pandemic, but also we had issues around racism. We had, political kind of polarization, and some people asked about how did the students handle and manage that throughout the year, all of these various challenges.
Yeah, it's been, I can't imagine what it, I mean, I walk around campus and I'm in the classroom and I talk with students all the time, but I really can't imagine what this must all feel like to them. With the, sort of, as you said, there's kind of like all these things going on in the world at once. We've got a pandemic that we're dealing with. We've got social issues that we're dealing with. We've got an election going on, and they just want to go to school and be in the classroom and work on really cool projects and all this stuff is kind of going on out there. And what's really just sort of cool to me is students choose to come to Mines in large part because it's such a great community. And I think everybody looks out for each other and everybody cares for each other. They all have, it's a place where everybody has at least a few things in common, right? They all have an interest in STEM. They're all bright students. They probably all like video games, but they, that there's sort of this base level of respect that they start from. That you don't have everywhere. And so I think that makes it easier for people to, help each other out with these things when they come up. It's been, in our preparations for the semester, that the team mapped out everything we need to have, right? We need to have students wearing masks in the classroom. We need social distancing. We need all these kinds of things. We can only have so many people living in the dorms and all that stuff. And I can remember we had, debates for hours on, well, what are we going to do when a student refuses to wear a mask in the classroom? And we didn't have a single incident of that at Mines, right? The students are just like, just tell us what we need to do. We really value the opportunity to be here. So just tell us what we need to do so we can stay all together for the semester. And everything we asked them to do, they did. Even when, cases of the virus started increasing drastically, all around the country and in the surrounding community. And we started to see increases at Mines and fall break was happening and so we were worried about those things. We went to the student leaders and we said, hey, can you help sort of put a message out to the other students to, let's just sort of, think about what we're doing and be careful. And remember, we're all making some sacrifices just so that we can all stay together this semester. And, and they did, and you could see the effect of that message from students to each other in the decrease in the prevalence of the virus on campus. It was really interesting. So yeah, Brian, I just, again, I feel so fortunate to be here, both with my colleagues who work here at Mines as well as all the students that we have the opportunity to spend a few years with of their lives. I think this, pandemic, times of struggle really do bring out the best in Orediggers.
Couldn't agree more, Paul, and just so proud of our students, and they really do carry on a legacy established by the students before, who are now our alumni. And I hope that all the alumni listening and staying connected are feeling the same way, because they truly do exemplify the hallmarks of a Mines student. and wanting to be together and work hard, solve problems, the team approach. Those are all very evident. And as you said, it's coming out in a big way over the last several months. So thank you to the alumni who've established that legacy. Again, I think you'd be proud that that legacy carries on. Paul, as we talk about some of the Minds at 150 initiatives, I think alumni in particular might be interested in a few more of the projects going on, the emphasis on critical minerals and on the importance of the mining and mineral processing areas. Minds' position, well-positioned, good position to be at the heart of the energy future and our incredible programs that we can leverage. Maybe if you would talk a little bit about some of those exciting things going on.
Sure. Yeah, it's well, I mean, you've already mentioned a lot of them, right? It's you know, how do we take our you know, kind of unique expertise that we have at Minds. It's been developed over 146, 147 years, and make sure that it's always relevant to you know, the challenges that we're being faced. And you know, you mentioned the critical minerals one, right? I mean, I don't think, I think at least this week, every day of this week, I have seen an article in the paper about an issue related to this, right? That you know, pretty much anything having to do with the energy transition, moving to more renewable options and things like that, driving electric cars, the technology that are being developed and things like that. You know, that stuff can't happen without mining and extraction and processing. But the demand now for the use of natural resources to do that in a much more sustainable way. And so we are, you know, we've got programs that are bringing together various forms of our expertise on campus in a very multidisciplinary way to work on these things. That the you know, critical materials and minerals issue is very much related to national security, as is the energy portfolio of the United States. And so we're trying to bring together expertise across a range of disciplines here on campus to make sure Minds is a leader in those topics that are really important going forward. And I think everything that's involved with energy is extremely critical with things, and making sure that you know, portfolio of options that we have gets used in the best way possible. You know, so I think we haven't sort of announced some of these things that are going on, but there's definitely a lot of planning. I mean, you could see it in, you know, a couple of years ago, we announced the Space Resources Program, right? Bringing mining expertise, tunneling expertise, all those things, because space travel is only going to be enabled if people can extract resources from other planets and manufacture components and produce fuel and everything, and have places they can live on planets without getting obliterated by a meteorite or something like that. So Minds is the only place that has all of the expertise that's needed to do that kind of thing. So we're working more and more on those, what we call the frontiers, whether that be space resources or advanced manufacturing or critical minerals. Again, bringing all those aspects of our unique expertise on campus to bear on problems in a way that no other university can.
Paul, maybe while we're on that topic, a question came in about are we receiving any pressure from like state legislature to reduce fossil fuel based degree offerings? And as you're talking about positioning ourselves for continuing to meet the needs of society and industry, would say we're actually doubling down on those Earth resources programs, and ensuring that we're well positioned to address those challenges that are going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, the direct answer, Scott, your question is, yeah, nobody's giving us any pressure to do away with any of our degree programs. You know, there are things that we're very proud of, and we know they're going to be important. You know, natural resources are, you know, I think that, right, the expectations are, you know, maybe that they're managed or produced or used or whatever in perhaps different ways than we're doing today. But you know, I think we all, you know, anybody who's sort of familiar with the extractive industries, whether that be oil and gas or minerals, the world can't operate without them, and we know that. And you know, trying to be creative in those areas, and finding ways that they can sort of continue to have the social license to operate, is something that we're working on here at Mines.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Maybe just to let everyone know to stay engaged, and we will do our part to continue to promote some of these exciting new initiatives and programs. Paul has mentioned there are a lot of really exciting things on the horizon for Mines. It's a great time to be an ore digger, and there's no question. And certainly with the limited resources available to do all the things that we want to do, and to be the Mines, the university we all want it to be, it's going to take resources. And so we're grateful to those who continue to support the progress, building on our past to prepare for the future. That's important. That's what Mines at 150 is about in a lot of ways. And so we need your help. We need your advocacy. We need your involvement, your volunteerism, your financial support. Those will be critical to help ensure all of these great things come to fruition. So Paul, with that, any closing remarks that you might have?
Well, you know, Brian, there was one question we didn't answer that came in earlier that I thought might be worth answering before closing remarks. There was one, somebody wrote in about, you know, the theme was basically, right, obviously we've all had to learn how to do remote delivery of classes, right, in a pretty short period of time. And the sort of the question was about, well, what's the future of remote learning, and Mines and online options. And what I want to tell people is, you know, it's kind of interesting. One of our Mines at 150 goals for all of our students is that they be prepared to learn online. This was a goal we set a few years ago, because continuing education for most professional engineers and scientists is frequently done through a remote mode. We want to make sure our students were prepared to be successful in that mode. Well, we obviously have sort of satisfied that requirement for the next 4 years of students going through because they've all had to learn it. But I will say that there is a strategic intent for what we will be doing. You'll see us continue to do online. One is we wanted to make sure, you know, we're very sensitive to the cost of education for students. And so we're always looking for ways to either kind of make sure students do finish within their 4-year window, you know, or sort of have opportunities to sort of bring the cost of their education down. So one of the things we're doing with the you know, with our online expertise is you'll see us offering probably about 30 online courses in the summer for our students. And the reason for that is we want them to be able to go and have their internships and be able to continue their education at the same time, as opposed to in the past, a student would always have to make a choice between, do I take this internship and earn some money, or do I take this in-person class that's sort of required that I have to take that I need to take in the summer. So we're trying to make it so students don't have to make that choice. In fact, they can do both. So they can earn some money and kind of take some class in the summer to help advance in their education. The other thing is, in the engineering field, there's a lot of people who are proponents of 4+1 bachelor's plus master's programs, where you, as you're completing your bachelor's program, you start taking some master's level classes to get to that degree. And what we're trying to do is set up our +1 master's options so that students for their 4 years do their bachelor's, their first 2 classes, their master's. They can actually start a job and take the rest of their master's required courses remotely through things. So just that switch, if you can get a student out working a year faster, anything that you can do to do that is about $100,000 swing when it really comes down to when you look at earnings and costs and things like that for students. So we're working pretty hard on that. For alumni, we're also working really hard on creating a lot of, I think, sort of value-added masters for you. And then a big thing these days is micro-credentialing. So you take 2 or 3 classes and you get it's not a full master's credential, but you do get a credential. And then some of the classes we might actually break up into 3 or 4 sort of workshop kind of experiences that are maybe, a few days in length. And if you do, you can take those by themselves, or you can kind of take those and you kind of add these things together and, work your way to continue to work your way to a larger credential. So all those things are going on, and they're part of kind of our continuing investment in opportunities for online learning for our students. Again, all with the intent of trying to either make sure students graduate on time or quicker, or providing more professional development opportunities for our alums. So I just want to squeeze that in there, Brian, because I do get questions about that.
Great, and it speaks to the, commitment to retaining the amazing and unique, distinctive Minds experience, and being accommodating of the situation, and ensuring that we don't overtax, especially financially, the students. I jumped the gun. I apologize. Another question came in about alternate sources of income. Mr. Haddon. So we can always count on Tim Haddon to ask good, tough questions. And I think he's talking about revenue sources in these challenging financial times.
Yes, and I wonder if Tim's going to ask the same question tomorrow morning again during the Board of Trustees meeting. But anyway, no, I think Tim, that's a great question, and I think what's sort of underlining that I think the audience needs to understand, and you've heard a little bit of this, right? Less than 10% of our funding comes from the state. So we are essentially a private institution with a public mission, more or less. And so if we don't find alternate sources of income, as costs increase at the university, which they're going to naturally do because there's, we have to pay for utilities and salaries go up and all those kinds of things. If we don't have alternate source of income, all that falls on the back of students and their families. And that just makes Minds less accessible to students along the way. So we're always looking at ways to either, bring revenues to the university that's not strictly sort of student tuition related, or we're trying to find alternate ways that, sort of maybe directly help the students. So clearly fundraising is one of those areas, and the Minds Foundation is the lead on that. Students get scholarships from that. The university gets a lot of support from the foundation every year. We couldn't operate without it. We generally get more funding from the foundation through all of you, through your gifts, than we get from the state in total for their support. So that component is really important to us. This expansion of kind of our post-bachelor's Education that we have going on out there is another component of that. So to the extent that we can expand what we offer from whatever kind of credentials and courses and training and that we can offer, to more that we do that, again, that helps with the, I think, kind of mitigating or moderating the cost increases to students here on campus. Part of the reason that I talked earlier about the innovation ecosystem is that hopefully if we create that where we've got students, they're learning to design, they're learning how to be entrepreneurs in our entrepreneurial program. Students and faculty may start up companies, they may spin off products. And the hope is that ultimately through some route comes back to benefit the university financially as well. So we're looking at all those options. I think we're also looking at, are there ways to use the resources that we have, whether that be land or expertise or specialized facilities, to also sort of augment the traditional revenue streams of the university. So, Tim, I don't know if you were thinking about anything specific in that question, but I hope that maybe for the audience covered things in a big sense.
When Paul, the idea of continuing education, I think is important to a lot of alumni, and look forward to the chance to share with alumni some of those continuing education, those lifelong learning opportunities. We'd love to provide those for alumni, and in fact, Dr. John Bradford is heading up that particular initiative, and so look for more there. Again, just a great time to be an ore digger. It's an exciting time. Mines is at the forefront of a lot of things, and retaining the special, unique student experience and preparing itself for the future. And so, Paul, thank you so much for being here and being available and always being so transparent and open to sharing what's happening on campus. Do you have any last remarks?
No, I just, I hope everybody has, very happy and healthy holidays. I hope we get to see a lot of you in 2021. Stay connected, stay engaged. And just thanks. We couldn't do what we're doing without what you do. I think the pride that you exhibit in Mines gets picked up by everybody that you interact with. It's just such a great university and a community to be associated with. So thanks for all you do. Have great holidays, and I look forward to seeing all of you in 2021.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to sort of facilitate these questions, and I'll hand it over to Bill Zisch to close us out.
Thanks, Brian. And Paul, thank you just so much for, as Brian said, making yourself available and sharing some of these discussions and actually some of the on-campus activities that many of us don't have the pleasure of participating in this year. I really, I often say that I miss the opportunity as an alum to be on campus, because every time I'm there, I'm just really encouraged and uplifted by the quality of the students, the faculty, the staff, and the leadership. It's just a quality program and a quality place. And that's something that, unfortunately, I think many of us as alumni are actually missing out on. So we appreciate your time and sharing that with us, and just reinforcing that the future is good when we think about the type of students and faculty and leadership that we have at Mines. So thanks, Paul. Thanks, Brian. I'd also like to thank Ruth Jones for, again, coordinating and supporting the Lunch Bunch and the many others that help her. We appreciate all of you for attending and sending in your questions and getting an opportunity to discuss. what's going on at Mines. We'll continue with our programs. Look forward to seeing you in January. January Lunch Bunch will be January 21st, and we'll be featuring a highlight of robotics at Mines with Tom Williams as our speaker. So with that, again, I'll thank you all and just wish you a very happy and safe holiday to all ore diggers. Thanks.